But the government has decided NCR stays in GCQ for another month. The COVID-19 task force has also put in place new conditions for foreign arrivals. The task force also rejected the resignation of contact tracing czar Benjamin Magalong. The Baguio City Mayor offered to vacate his post as tracing czar after he drew flack for attending the Timya party in Baguio. A biotechnology company is looking to bring in an experimental drug that could help fight mild to severe COVID-19 symptoms. And looks like one vaccine is proving to be effective against the British variant of COVID-19. Novavax is showing an 89% efficacy in UK trials against the more infectious variant. We begin tonight with experts flagging a surge in COVID-19 cases in Cebu. The health department believes it's too early to point at the UK variant. In this case, Greg Gregorio with a big story.
The UP-Octa research team has flagged the increasing COVID-19 infections across Cebu as a serious concern. As of January 28, Cebu City alone has recorded over 12,300 cases, some 1,054 of which are active. The province of Cebu, meanwhile, has over 8,200 infections, but only 598 are active. Based on the monitoring of the UP-Octa research, there's now an average of 147 daily new cases in the province. The reproduction rate is at 1.61, above the ideal 1 threshold, indicating an uncontrolled transmission.
They were averaging just 11 cases per day before the holiday season. If it continues to increase at this rate, then they might reach the 400 cases per day threshold, which they reached last June of last year.
Aside from the holidays, UP-Octa has also attributed this spike to the possible presence of the UK variant. Experts said they have seen this pattern in Muntin province prior to the detection of the B117 variant.
We're not saying it's there, but it's just a possibility because the rate of increase is substantial.
The health department has confirmed that Cebu is among the provinces showing an increase in infections, but Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere emphasized that it is too early to tell that B117 is the culprit.
Mahirap tayo magsabi ng mga factors kung bakit tumataas at masasabi pa natin na baka variant yan hanggang hindi tayo sigurado because this might cause panic dun sa mga tao.
Cebu has submitted positive samples for gene sequencing in order to know if the variant exists in their area. The DOH expects the results of the gene sequencing to be released by Monday. This will also include the pending samples from the close contacts of 12 UK variant patients in Biotech. To date, 369 individuals have been identified as close contacts. 233 of them have been tested. Only 57 are positive with COVID-19 so far, including the first 12 cases positive with the variant and the 2 negative from the variant. Meanwhile, the case of a Pinay from Cagayan who tested positive with B117 in Hong Kong is now closed. Vergere explained that none of her close contacts turned out positive for the variant. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Despite the rise in infections, Cebu will remain under MGCQ next month. Metro Manila will also maintain its GCQ status. Also placed under GCQ, Batangas and the Cordillera Administrative Region in Luzon, Tacloban City in Visayas, and Davao del Norte, Lanao del Sur, and Iligan City in Mindanao. This will be in effect for the entire month of February. Beginning next month as well, foreigners may enter the country provided that they have valid and existing visas. They should also have pre-booked accommodation for at least 7 nights in an accredited quarantine facility. Foreign arrivals will be subject to COVID testing 6 days after their arrival. Former Filipino nationals and their family members will be allowed entry visa-free and can stay in the country for up to 1 year. Now let's take a look at the big stories on print and online. UN Special Rapporteur Agnes Calama still hopes the International Criminal Court, or ICC, will launch an investigation into the alleged human rights violations under the Duterte sanctioned drug war. Philippine Star is quoting Calamar as saying that the only option left as part of the ICC mandate is to undertake a formal investigation. Business World is reporting that the country slid 2 spots in a 2020 global index measuring corruption. With a below-average score of 34, the Philippines now ranks 115th among 180 countries in terms of perceived levels of corruption in the public sector. More than 2/3 of the countries surveyed also scored below 50, as most countries failed to tackle corruption effectively. And for News 5, the Philippines' economic recovery will remain slow in the first quarter. That's according to the National Economic Development Authority. But NEDA Secretary Carl Chua is optimistic that GDP will somehow pick up by the second quarter. Government then targets a 6.5 to 7.5% growth in 2021, hoping for the country to become an upper middle class economy by 2022. The Philippines is caught in the middle of escalating tensions between the U.S. and China. The U.S. has backed the Philippines' diplomatic protest against China's new Coast Guard law. Patricia Mangune tells us more.
While a Biden presidency bodes well for the U.S.-Philippine alliance, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana acknowledges the country might get caught up between the two superpowers. Lorenzana recognizes that it will be a challenge to maintain friendly relations with both the U.S. and China. This as trade tensions between the two show no signs of abating. So as to not add fuel to the fire, the defense chief emphasizes that the Philippines will resolve its territorial conflict in the South China Sea in a peaceful manner, while asserting the country's sovereignty.
It is necessary for us to continuously engage with China, not only for our existing cooperation in various areas, but also for the peaceful resolution of our competing claims in the South China Sea. On the other hand, we are mindful of the role of the United States as a stabilizing force in the Indo-Pacific region and a counterbalance to China.
Philippine Ambassador to the U.S., Babe Romualdez, also believes it will be a dilemma for the Philippines to get caught in the crossfire. The U.S. has expressed its concern over China's newly passed Coast Guard law. It authorizes their personnel to fire at foreign vessels entering territories which China claims as their own. The U.S. promised they're standing by the Philippines and other Southeast Asian claimants.
Definitely are not only concerned, but they see that as a not a very good sign coming from China coming out with that law. We don't want to be caught in the middle, but at the same time, we know that that the recognition of our arbitral award is part and parcel of this whole controversy that's surrounding that area. But I'm quite sure that our friends here in Washington, D.C. will be with us if any untoward incident happens to our fishermen and any one of our people.
Just as U.S. President Biden reached out to an adversary like Russia, Biden is also set to speak with allies in Asia soon, which includes the Philippines.
We're not, of course, privy to when this will happen, but President Biden has been calling as many leaders, as we all know, especially those in the neighborhood, so to speak, and the Canadian Prime Minister, the Mexican President, and of course in Europe, he has spoken to Prime Minister Boris Johnson and many others. And we have been told that in the Asian region, he will be speaking to all the leaders of the Asian region in the coming months, perhaps in a month or two or something like that. But on Monday, I have a meeting with the National Security Council Assistant Director for Asia Pacific, and perhaps I will be asking him on when the plan. What would be the plans of President Biden in having a conversation with our president, which is, in my view, very important, of course.
For News 5, Patricia Mangune. We are One News.
Let's take a quick break. When the big story returns, one biotech company is bringing in an experimental drug that could prevent mild to severe COVID-19 symptoms. And Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong stays as the country's contact tracing czar after the COVID task force rejected his resignation. Details next. Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay. Members of the health sector are looking to bring in an experimental drug which supposedly will help prevent severe to critical symptoms and even death among COVID-19 patients. Shaila Francisco tells us more.
The national government targets to vaccinate more than half of the country's population this year until 2022. But some members from the health sector believe there's no need to wait for a vaccine in dealing with COVID-19. A product developed by U.S. Biotech firm Cytodyn seeks to prevent mild to moderate symptoms among COVID-19 patients from getting worse. This is called leronlimab. Initial trials show that it can treat patients with severe to critical symptoms and prevent death among those infected. The product is also being tested on HIV and cancer cases. Similar to an insulin shot, patients can either inject themselves or do so with the help of a nurse. It's taken once a week, but most patients only need 2 doses to see its effects.
Leronlimab does not attack the virus, meaning to say it won't prevent you from getting an infection. What it does prevent is, one, it will prevent you from developing severe symptoms. It's not exactly a vaccine or something like that. It doesn't propose itself as such, but it will allow you to develop your own immune response to the virus.
Phase 2 trial for mild and moderate cases are done. Results for Phase 3 trial for severe and critical cases will be out in 2 to 3 weeks. If results are positive, health experts estimate it may take 1 week for the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to approve the product for emergency use authorization. A pharma company in charge of handling permits for leronlimab in the Philippines says they can apply for a regular product registration from the Philippine FDA once it is registered in the U.S. The cost for leronlimab has yet to be finalized, but the developer says they can allocate vials for the Philippines.
Assuming that the results are positive, we still will commit certain number of vials to Philippines.
As early as this year, patients may use leronlimab through a compassionate special permit or CSP.
Requests are made in the name of individual patients by their attending physicians.
The FDA says it welcomes all requests for a CSP. Shaila Francisco, We Are One News.
Members of the National Task Force Against COVID-19 rejected the resignation of Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong as contact tracing czar. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez Jr. said Magalong would be a huge loss to the country's COVID-19 response. NTF Deputy Chief Implementer and Testing Czar Vince Dizon seconded this opinion, and he cited the mayor's humility to have admitted his lapses. Magalong drew flack for having attended a controversial birthday party in Baguio City where guests were seen violating safety protocols, including his own wife.
Napakasakit sa amin nung pinasa nga niya sa akin yung kanyang resignation paper, pero hindi po namin matatanggap. Malaking kawalan po sa amin yon kasi apat po ang haligi ng natin ng ating PDITR at isa po talaga yung contact tracing, lalo po ngayon sa mga adverse event.
Yung integridad ni Mayor Benji, unquestionable, dahil dun po talagang hindi po namin talaga matatanggap ang kanyang resignation dahil kailangan po namin siya, kailangan po siya ng bansa.
Still on that party by Team Ya, protocol violators who attended at the Manor Hotel have settled their penalties with the city government. The Manor paid a total of 9,000 pesos to the city government 33 attendees, including the celebrant showbiz personality Tim Yap, actress Casey Concepcion, and Mayor Benji Magalong's wife Arlene, have paid a fine of 1,000 pesos each. The manor submitted a commitment to follow health protocols moving forward. And here's some good news for Manileños. Manila is already going full ahead for its inoculation program. In fact, it already has a master list of priority vaccine recipients. JC Cosco tells us more about the city's preparations.
The city of Manila targets to vaccinate 1,000 individuals daily in each of its 18 inoculation centers as soon as COVID-19 shots arrive. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno says they could expand the number of their vaccination sites to 60, but not for now, as they are anticipating some hurdles.
Binakunahan nga natin nung una, saan mo siya hanapin sa pangalawa? Sayang naman, baka mamaya may lumabas ang guidelines na mapabaliwala yung una mong bakuna pag hindi sumama pag hindi ka nagpabakuna sa pangalawa. Kung yung produkto na yung brand na yon ay 2 doses.
Around 600,000 residents are included in the city's master list to receive the shots. These include frontline health workers, senior citizens, indigents, and uniformed personnel. 7,000 to 6,000 individuals have so far pre-registered in the LGU's website for the inoculation. Officials meanwhile inspected the city's cold storage facility at the Santa Ana Hospital. 700,000 to 800,000 doses of any vaccine type can be stored in the area. FDA Director General Eric Domingo underscored the importance of these facilities to ensure effective vaccination. This, as he assured, vaccines issued with emergency use authorization are safe. So far, Pfizer and AstraZeneca have received EUAs from the FDA.
Hindi po ako magpapasa ng bakuna na hindi ko ituturok sa sarili kong mga magulang. Kaya po pag nakarating po dito sa inyo yon, wag po kayong mangamba. Inaral po talaga natin yon.
Domingo adds, Sinovac, Gamaleya, and Biotech's applications are still pending as they wait other reviews conducted by experts and Stage 3 clinical trial results. The FDA is still awaiting applications from Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, Clover, and Sinopharm. Manufacturers are also developing revisions if the vaccine's efficacy reduces amid the detection of new virus variants.
We're confident that the companies will be able to respond to the need. Pag nakitang bumababa na talaga yung efficacy, then i-revise yan para maka-respond siya doon sa prevailing virus at that time.
However, the country's FDA is not yet keen on granting an EUA for self-swab test kits. The FDA also reminded the public not to use non-registered FDA products to ensure safety. For News 5, JC Cosico, We Are One News.
And these are the other big stories tonight. Associate Justice Marvic Leonen says he is not cut out to be the next Chief Justice at this time. This despite Leonen's automatic nomination for the post to be vacated by Chief Justice Diosdado Peralta in March. Leonen, who is among the most senior justices at the High Court, says the limited term of SC justices does not matter as long as it has a diverse set of members. Jeepney drivers and commuters are up in arms with the LTFRB after it shortened several jeepney routes in Metro Manila. The move comes following the closure of U-turn slots along EDSA. The LTFRB is expecting new jeepney route recommendations from a third-party consultant by March. And Skyway Stage 3 will remain toll-free after February 1. The Toll Regulatory Board is still reviewing and finalizing rates for the 18-kilometer expressway. Based on proposed rates published by the TRB, motorists will be charged by as much as 274 pesos. We'll go for a quick break. When the big story returns after the PNP ruled out homicide in the death of Christine Dacera, her family now demands a DNA test on all samples examined. And one vaccine is proving to be effective against the British variant of COVID-19. The details on that when we return. Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. You're still watching The Big Story. The family of Christine Dacera now is demanding a DNA test on all specimens examined by the PNP. This after the police ruled out homicide in the flight attendant's death. Ryan Ang with the details.
The Dacera family stands firm that there is foul play in the death of 23-year-old flight attendant Christine. Their camp rejected the PNP Crime Laboratory's medical legal report, which concluded that Christine died of ruptured aortic aneurysm due to an enlarged heart. As proof, they showed Christine's annual physical exam, indicating she was healthy and had no signs of hypertension. The family's legal counsel insists that if Christine were sick, she would not have been able to fly 4 times a day for her work.
The PAL medical examination states heart normal, no hypertension. So, walang ebidensya nga may enlarged heart. Palagay namin, cover up na naman dito.
They also claimed that the report cannot be considered an autopsy at all because only the visceral organs were examined. The family also raised doubts that the organs were indeed Christine's, as they did not give the PNP Crime Laboratory any consent. With this, the Dacera camp demands a DNA test on the specimen and organs used.
We do not know if these specimens are really part of the body organs of the late Christine. If we need to exhume the body, let's exhume the body so we can compare the DNA on her arms, on her legs, with the DNA of the alleged organs.
The Dacera camp claims there is still a possibility of rape even if neither semen nor drug was found.
The Supreme Court has also ruled that a mere insertion of a finger into the genitals of a woman constitutes rape under Republic Act 8353, whether or not there is semen or drugs. So naniniwala ang Dacera family nga there is more than sufficient probable cause.
Christine's mother, Sharon, says she will not be able to move on from her daughter's death until justice is served.
I'm just knocking at their heart. Kung may konsensya pa kayo, magsabi kayo ng totoo.
The Dacera camp will be reviewing CCTV footage 3 days before and after the incident to identify more people who should be included in the case.
We want to get to the bottom of this. Mga identities sa room 2007, sino ba sila para masama namin sa kaso? Para malaman natin sino talagang lumabas, pasok doon.
The next preliminary hearing into the case is set on February 3. For News 5, Ryan Ang, We Are One News.
Now, time for the big stories in sports. A look at the game with Laura Liman.
Thanks, Robbie. The San Miguel Beerman and the Terra Firma Jeep have agreed in principle to a trade that would send Elite 5 nominee and current Gilas pool member CJ Perez to the Beerman. In exchange for the former Rookie of the Year, Terra Firma will acquire Jello Alalino, Matt Ganguelas Rosser, Roscoe, Escoto, and SMB's 2021 first-round draft pick, which will be 8th overall. The trade, however, is still subject to approval by the PBA Trade Committee. Now, SMB head coach Leo Austria mentioned in several interviews that they need to get younger talent to add to their veteran rotation. Austria could get his wish fulfilled as he awaits the approval of the trade for the former NCAA MVP. The CJ Perez acquisition is potentially the second trade for this season, following the swap between Rain or Shine and Northport involving Brad Quinto, Clint Rodriguez, and Cindy Onuwibre. Now from the PBA, we go to the NBA. In a battle of Western Conference teams, Christian Wood returns for the Rockets to face Damian Lillard and the Blazers. Lillard started off hot for Portland, making baskets and dishing out assists, blazing them to a 15-point first-quarter lead. Damian would continue to lead the red and white, finishing the game with 30 points and 9 dimes. But the Houston Rockets did not slip away. They answered with a 36-point second quarter led by John Wall and the returning Wood. Wall finished with 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, while Wood added 22 points and 12 rebounds. New addition Victor Oladipo also came up big for Houston. Oladipo scored a clutch basket, bumping his way in against Enes Kanter to score for the Rockets. The Blazers had some last chances, but Anthony Simmons missed the game-tying 3. Now the Rockets win their 4th in a row and will face Pelicans Sunday morning Manila time. Don't miss the action this weekend on NBA TV Philippines. Tomorrow, James Harden and Kevin Durant face their former team, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Donovan Mitchell will also square off with Luka Doncic in a showdown between the Jazz and the Mavs. Now on Sunday, Luka will face the Mavs and will take on Devin Booker and the Rising Suns. Then it will be longtime NBA rivals the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Boston Celtics, with LeBron James and Jaylen Brown leading the way. And that's it for the latest in the world of sports. Catch us on later at 9:30 p.m. here on One News and One Sports Plus. My name is Laura Liman, and this has been The Game.
Thank you, Laura. COVID-19 vaccines from American firm Novavax has been proven 89% effective against the more highly contagious UK variant. This is according to trials conducted in the United Kingdom. The trial involved 15,000 people aged 18 to 84, a third of which are aged more than 65. Novavax said the trial results will be used in its application for regulatory approval in Britain, Europe, and other countries. The Philippine government signed a deal earlier this month for 30 million doses of Novavax shots. It will be distributed by the Serum Institute of India, which partnered with Novavax for the development and commercialization of the vaccine. If you've been on the internet lately, you probably have been seeing the trending photo of U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders during U.S. President Joe Biden's inauguration. Well, a Texas resident just managed to raise $40,000 by using this famous photo as inspiration. Toby King made a crocheted doll of Sanders, complete with the warm parka and mittens he was wearing while he sat listening to Biden's oath. King said she has admired Sanders since his unsuccessful 2016 run for the U.S. presidency. King decided to sell the Bernie doll on eBay to benefit the charity Meals on Wheels when a friend told her Sanders himself was selling sweatshirts with the meme also to benefit the charity. The bidding for the Bernie doll closed at $20,300 and eBay pitched in a donation to match the sale price. That brought the total to $40,600. And that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again on Monday, 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250. Please like our Facebook page, One News. Now, for more in-depth analysis, you can visit our webpage, onenews.ph. I'm Robbie Alampay. We are One News. Good evening.